I'm gonna teach you how to build athletic muscle, and we're gonna start right now. Okay, so right off the bat, we've got to identify what is athletic muscle, what does it look like, okay? And I think oftentimes if you can think about someone like Rob Gronkowski, okay, Jordan Burroughs, CLAIR, TOOMEY, these are individuals that have that athletic muscle, okay? Their muscle bellies are a bit longer, they're definitely defined, they have great range of motion through different ranges, and they carry very specific qualities, okay? So first, now, after we identify that, we need to go into what don't we want? We don't want someone who's going to be, you know, think about Thor, think about Eddie Hall at the peak of his career. He was built to be the best strongman in the entire world. His body as a strongman doesn't really carry over well to the athletic realm. Not that strongmen aren't athletes, they are 100% athletes, but carrying over to a broader spectrum of sport is not what we want to see with specific strongmen. Now, if we think about even more, we don't want to look like, let's say, Jay Cutler at the peak of his career, Ronnie Coleman at the peak of his career. These were big, huge, hulking men that were great athletes, phenomenal athletes, but the athletic muscle wouldn't really carry over to, say, football, basketball, wrestling, baseball. We want the body, we want the athletic muscle that carries over to multiple different sports, transfers very, very well, okay? And that's where, you know, think about CLAIR, TOOMEY. She's a world-class CrossFitter, the best CrossFitter in the world in the women's side. She's also won the Commonwealth Games in Olympic weightlifting, so she has very good transfer of training and very good transfer of athletic muscle. So to identify all this, we have to then look at what do we need? What's the size, okay? Do we need hypertrophy, and how are we gonna get hypertrophy? Is it gonna be myofibrillar or sarcoplasmic? And when we first started this YouTube journey, we actually did a deep dive into sarcoplasmic and myofibrillar hypertrophy. Those videos have a ton of information, but they're just horribly presented by myself. No, God! But if we look at that aspect of what's the size, what are the ranges that we want to look for, and how much strength and power do we get from our muscles, okay? So that's that first big step then, is like, all right, we want someone who is leaner, okay, because it transfers really well if they have more lean muscle mass. It's not necessarily specific to actual training, it's more so related to their nutrition. But then that next step, ranges of motion. We want to have athletes that can get through full ranges of motion. So if you think about Rob Gronkowski, he can produce a ton of force here as a blocking tight end, shed the defender, get out into the space because he's fast, catch the ball with good coordination, and get upfield. Jordan Burroughs, another great example. One of the best wrestlers of all time, very similar. He can be extremely explosive from a very deep position, but he can also engage with very high levels of absolute strength through various ranges. Same with Tia. She can, you know, back squat 340 plus pounds with that absolute strength. And she can also clean, you know, 120 kilos, which is 260 pounds, 264 pounds. So she has tremendous speed, and she also has tremendous range of motion and tremendous maximal strength. So that's what we're really gonna start to look for now, is how do we get there? How do we build that athletic muscle that can coordinate quickly, that can display a large amount of absolute strength, and can also recruit that absolute strength at a very high rate to have a large amount of speed in a situation that is unloaded. Think about Jordan Burroughs hitting in the blast double, Rob Gronkowski catching and getting upfield. Okay, so now we're gonna give you 5 keys that you can take from this video and apply directly to your training so you can increase your athletic muscle. And the first step, if we wanna be one of the best in the world, if we wanna be the best version of ourselves, right? We wanna be our own version of Tia, our own version of Jordan Burroughs, our own version of Rob Gronkowski. We need to start with how are we recovering, okay? How much sleep are we getting? We've got to get 8 to 10 hours of sleep. How much mobility work are we doing a week? How many times a week will we be doing yoga to try and lengthen those muscles? Because lengthening is strengthening, okay? So we want to lengthen the muscle belly. How much work are we going to do going into the sauna? And then finally, the most important aspect here is covering the nutrition. So we need to make sure that we're getting at least 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. And so what we've got, this is Thick Mints from Earth Fed Muscle, this is Transcend, it's creatine. These are 2 supplements, okay, creatine and whey protein, that you can take to increase your athletic muscle by increasing your ability to recover, by increasing your power output. Transcend or creatine in general will help you put out a larger amount of power and recruit a little bit more effectively. So that leads us into our second key concept, which is going to be technical coordination movements. If you watch Jordan Burroughs drop and hit his blast double, okay, so he's gonna recruit, he's lowering, he's almost doing a type of depth drop here, and then he's taking his shot. That involves technical coordination, okay? Same thing with Gronk, same with Tia. All of these athletes use technical coordination. Those movements, snatch, power snatch, full snatch, high hang snatch, low hang snatch, these are types of technical coordination movements. High hang clean, low hang clean, one box power clean, two box power clean, two box full clean. Behind the neck jerks, movements that are rapid, but you can use a large amount of weight because they transfer really well to various sports, okay? So if you learn how to move heavy weight fast with a technical mindset, that's gonna increase your athletic muscle, okay? And then you do that along with the nutritional aspect. Then that takes us into absolute strength work or maximal base strength work. So back squats, single leg squats, bench press, pull-ups through full ranges of motion, dumbbell bench, dumbbell incline bench, dips, sled pulls. All of these movements are absolute strength exercises that lead to developing more technical coordination and increase the ceiling for your technical coordination. And if your nutrition is lined up effectively, with enough protein, with creatine, with good sleep, now that's gonna continue to help develop that athletic muscle. And we also have to understand here too, is that when we're talking about absolute strength, it's gonna increase our myofibrillar hypertrophy. And that's gonna lead to greater power output, okay? That's a really big key concept here. If we look at someone like Tia, who she's just jacked, she does have some sarcoplasmic hypertrophy that has occurred, but because she lifts heavier weights consistently, because she does heavy cleans and heavy snatches, her myofibrillar hypertrophy is higher, so she can continue to put out more and more power output. And that leads us into our fourth key concept, which is gonna be use plyometric based training. The cool part behind social media is you can see what a lot of these athletes are doing. You can see box jumps, hurdle hops, single leg bounds, double leg bounds, random, chaos coordination movements. These are all ways that you can increase your athletic muscle, and plyometric series can enhance that. And we have coined the term chaos coordination. So if you're in an open skilled sport like Gronk, like Jordan Burroughs, you're in wrestling, you're in football, you're in lacrosse, you're in soccer, these are open skilled sports. You need plyometrics to train your body to use specific skills to coordinate under chaos. Think about Barry Sanders sprinting through a hole. He sees a linebacker. His body has to react before his brain can consciously tell him to cut. But he's trained the technique and the skills and co-contractions so that he can decelerate and cut rapidly. That's the same thing that Gronk has done, that Jordan Burroughs has done, that Tia, CLAIR, TOOMEY has done. And these are all through using different series of plyometric-based training. And then finally, that's gonna lead to the last key concept here, is that you have to use isolation movements, okay? It's okay to achieve sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, which is what most bodybuilders, when we talked about Jay Cutler, when we talked about Ronnie Coleman, they use sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, okay? It's okay to use isolation movements to achieve sarcoplasmic hypertrophy because we might see a structural leak. We might see a diminishment in structural integrity, and by isolating those movements or those joints, we can enhance that weak point of the chain. And it also leads to, if we have a problem area, say around our ankles, where we struggle to actually get blood flow to, if we do higher reps in an isolation aspect, tibialis raise or anything like that, now, because our body doesn't get a lot of blood flow into our ankle joint, we can still strengthen it by doing a ton of high rep exercises that are isolating, whatever that area is that we're trying to work on inside of our ankle. So use all of these concepts, recognize that the whole goal is to transfer to as many different sports as possible, is to be as athletic as possible, to coordinate as rapidly as possible in various different ranges. And if you're thinking about technical coordination, 5 sets of 3 on the cleans or snatches, absolute strength, 5 sets of 5 for absolute strength work, plyometrics, 5 or 6 sets of 3 jumps at a time, something along those lines, and then some isolation work, 3 to 4 sets of 17. Those are all specific rep ranges through the full range of motion, and make sure you're taking your Transcend creatine, you're taking that whey protein to improve your overall ability to recover, and that's exactly how you're gonna build athletic muscle. And if you need help building athletic muscle, getting faster, getting more explosive, click on the link down below, head over to GarageStrength.com, pick up our How to Get Faster training program, and when you're in the weight room, you have to always remember to cultivate your power. Peace.